Okay, so here we are with Caitlin. She's going to be our model for today. And so Caitlin, what do you want to do with your look?
So I want to trim up the bottom about 1.5 inches, just get rid of all the dead ends and then create more shape and volume without taking too much length off, and then also go a little bit darker for the winter.
All right, sounds good, and we should just get started right away. First things first, I'm going to, after spraying with a light leave-in conditioner, use my handle picks to gently remove the curl or the texture from the hair. Basically, these kind of picks are just designed to separate tangles very gently, so that's first. Second thing, using a monster clip, I go from the top of the ear across to the top of the ear, straight across the occipital bone, and put that to the top of the head, clipping it completely out of the way. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the drapes to a wider drape so that the hair will contrast and we'll be able to see the cutting more clearly. I then take the back section, I separate it, comb it through, clean it out, and then I'm going to set my guide line. Now I can measure this with my comb. There's a ruler on comb, so I measure exactly the amount she wanted taken off, and then I cut it there. Bringing down my next section so that when I comb it down to the ends I can still see through it. I can see my guide just fine. I take and blend it into my chosen length. By bringing the top length to the back, from the top, the sides, the front, everything to the back, and cutting it across, I'm establishing my first line as a square line. Then I'm going to soften those edges just a little bit as we get a little further into it, but I want a square line to begin with, particularly in the center back of the cut. Sectioning my top from the nose all the way back to the upper crown. I then comb each side straight on down, and then from behind each ear I separate that to the front side and then the side back, if you will. Now what that's going to do is it's going to separate my side length from my back length, allowing me to then take my back length, as you see here, slightly bringing it to the corner over toward the shoulder. This is going to expose a corner and allow me to just round off, just a little bit, just round off that portion of the cut. I then take my next section slightly forward of that or toward her face, and I just progressively move my guide forward, taking off just the ends. Notice my elevation to create softness on those ends so they're not totally blunt. And there's our back squared line with just slightly rounded edges. Reestablishing my guideline on the side from just behind the ear, I bring it forward at a low, about a 45-degree angle forward, and then just take off that little corner that's going to present itself in the front so that I will promote a little bit more roundness on those edges. Not too much, just a little bit, working it around toward the guide toward her nose or the front of her face. Now this will contrast the interior layering I'm going to do next, which will be very square. The sectioning for the top part will go from the frontalis muscles, or the parietal ridge if that's helpful, along the side to the upper crown in the back, and then to the other side, kind of a squared parting off. You can round the corners off in the back around the crown area if you want to. Either way works. But basically what I want to do is I want to get that entire section separated and up on top out of the way. To determine the length on top, I'm taking a side-to-side section, combing it straight up. I'm approximately 2 inches from the crown to the top of the head. I'm at the top of the head here. I'm going to hold that up, paying close attention to the center of the division, and then show her where the length that she's suggesting where that would fall. Once that's determined, I'm going to cut that straight across Each section from that portion toward me is over directed up to the first section I'm pulling across here now. Then from there forward toward the front of the face, each section will move forward as a traveling guideline. This will produce corners on both sides of the top section of her head. And the reason why I want that is because those corners, when they drop down to the sides, produce weight. And we want that weight. We're going to diffuse it with texture, but we want that weight. I will, during the course of the cut, toss all those sections, kind of push them around a little bit to see how they fall and see how they blend or don't. And then that way I can see whether or not I'm getting the exact result I want, or if I need to change my angle. Do I need to point cut it, go a little shorter, anything at all. So this is going to help me to determine that. My first side blending section is going to go from the top corner of my cut that I just finished, and it's going to go down and into the length of the hair. It's going to be very understated. I apologize, you can't see the angle very closely here, but you will see it in just a minute or so. So this is where the corner is, and I'm going from that corner to the ends, taking off very, very little amounts of hair to create a gentle blending. To accommodate my need, because the angle isn't correct, I take the section I want, I comb it up on this section, on her right section. I comb it up and then take my guideline and turn it completely around. This is going to expose like that. This is going to expose the shorter portion of the corner, so I don't take any more off, and allow me to gently blend from there on up. As I am right-handed, as I work on the left-hand side of her head, I can now take the section, comb it all the way up as I did on the other side. This time I do not need to turn the guideline around. I just take it from the corner of the top guide, and cutting very small amounts of hair, I blend it to the length. I'm not looking to overlayer it, I'm just looking to gently blend it. In a moment here, I'll start taking that guideline around to the back of it, and you'll be able to see the line that I'm cutting very detailed. Here's the thing you want to remember is you do not want to overlayer it, you do not want to over thin or thin out the length of the hair. You have no doubt noticed at this point that I'm taking a less steep sectioning all the way. This is because the back is thicker, and so I want a less steep section because I want to create a little bit more layering. So you can accommodate the amount or the lack of hair in any given section by the angle with which you do this technique. You're simply looking to take the shorter part of the cut that we did first on top, and you're blending it very gently to the top. You'll notice most everything from below the occipital bone in this cut is not affected. I'm leaving the length in that way, and the thickness. we're starting to get a good idea of the finished result and where we're headed. So the next thing we'll do is we'll take the top section along with some Centrix 1660 shears, and we will take this top section we had cut square and use the texturizing shears on just the last 2 inches. Notice how there is no separation between the shorter layer and the longer layers. That's because of the angle we've been doing and the use of the 1660s at the very last. Next, I do a triangulated section, part it off nice and clean. Then I'm going to take and add just a lot of texture using the same 1660s. And this sectioning that I'm doing will allow that portion to blend in to the length quite nicely. I'm going to take, in this instance, the entire section, grab my comb, the wider tooth angle of the comb, take my 1660s, and now for the last 4 inches or 6 inches, I go through and I texturize it out. Now, you have to use a 1660 to do this because you need the blend of that blade. Now notice how, unlike before, that top section now stands off the length. Now the layer still blends, it's true, but it stands off a little fuller. Can you see that? And how does Caitlin feel about this new cut, this look?